So here's the first thing. Everybody's lying to you, Michael.
How so?
Okay. So let me be truthful. Everybody's lying to you. That is not a pivot in time. And then in the movie, 5 months later, the guy's making $100,000 a month. Okay, that's not happening. Okay. You are not all of a sudden a better person.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that might be the moment, but it's kind of the bottom of the U. Like it's buying before the dip, right? You know, it's you're actually things go sideways further. Right. And so this occurs, and I went to work for a fantastic company called Insperity, by the way, who does outsourced HR for small businesses, because I felt like I sucked at that. So why not go learn something?
Right.
I've got a buddy who worked with me there that says, I don't want to do an Insperity commercial, but I will tell you the context of the people I was around. And he said at that time, they had a way of finding high potential broken souls. And so that was kind of the people that I was surrounded with when I went there. But I was in a bad place. I needed to learn how to talk to people. My emotional capacity was down. It just got worse for probably 6 months or a year. And then add to the fact that I'd had a business that in my eyes had failed, right? And guess what happens when that occurs and you need to re-enter the workforce?
What happens?
They assume that you have zero skills and you were basically not working for the last 6 years.
Right.
I took a mid-level kind of, you've been in the world 5 years of sales job as my way out. And so the emotional repair, that kind of stuff, I think it took 2 full years just emotionally to get right. You're dealing with the failure. Like I had to tell my family was affected, and I tried to do everything financial I could so my 3 children didn't feel it. But man, you want to talk about a desperate moment. That desperate moment lasted a couple years. And I remember the moment that things changed. And the moment that things changed, I'd been at Insperity probably 2.5 years. And I decided it was time to start moving upward, onward again. I was interviewing for some positions, some VP level positions at companies. And I wasn't getting to the second interview. In case you haven't noticed, I like to talk, right? So you go, and I usually can connect well enough to get to the second interview. I mean, you could be interviewing me to be your CFO. I'll probably find a way that we'll like each other enough, even though I have no experience, that we'll have a second conversation.
Right.
So I'm figuring it out. So I'm standing outside of my gym, had gotten back to the gym, right?
You got to do that. That's one of the steps.
Yeah, it wasn't one of them. Yeah, take care of yourself. So I was standing outside of my gym and just had a really bad first interview on a phone. Like just kind of the HR one, right?
Right.
And it was that exact moment when I realized how I was still setting myself up for failure because I wasn't putting myself in a position where people could see the potential in Ken. They could only hear the despair in Ken.
Right.
And that was the moment that things started to turn, because from there, got the next job, became a VP of sales for a company based out of a tech company out of Philly. Then from there, within a year later, took a senior vice president's position with a company here in Atlanta. 2 years later, we launched Ken Lundin and Associates.
Nice. Real quick, to your point, I love the fact that things don't, just bottom out and you boomerang right out of it and like, surprise, sometimes they can, but, process, it can take a while. And your journey was, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, human beings are dense sometimes, not everybody's like I like to train, I got pit bulls. I like to train dogs. You can't, Pavlov conditioning is much easier with them than it is with us. Right. So the process took a while. Now let's talk about Ken Lundin Associates. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was cool because it was one of those, kind of came to the decision. I was like, well, I could serve one company, or I noticed kind of a gap in the market and kind of the small business. Most of what we do, we serve companies. We have companies that are bigger, but our core market is like, companies who do 5 to 25 million, have a salesperson or 2, 5, 10, and just haven't been able to figure out, let's go. And so one of the things that, I was thinking about back then is like, well, I can go to work for somebody again. But is that really kind of the highest and best calling? Because if you tie that back to what really happened to me in 2011 and 2013, there's a couple things that really happened. I spent a lot of time worrying about the things I couldn't control. And those things would manifest in my head and create this kind of ongoing narrative that I wasn't going to be able to be successful. So that's kind of the first thing. So I got rid of what can we control, right? But the second thing really, and the thing that I knew that I could actually lean into and help others with was I'd get goosebumps. My tear ducts fill up when I talk about that moment. When I talk about the moment of having my 12-year-old standing next to me when that went down.